Welcome back everybody to a brand new video on the channel. Today what we're going over is I have 5 pro PUBG tips for you that's going to improve your gameplay no matter what you're playing on, what skill level you're at, or what platform you choose to play this game. So whether you're an Xbox player, a PC player, or even mobile, practicing any and all of these tips are going to guarantee improve your gameplay. These aren't just going to be run-of-the-mill kind of useful information that everybody knows, but it's going to be these tips that come from the professional gaming scene itself and really is going to help you hone your skills on games like PUBG. Now that being said, before we get into all of that, this video took me absolutely forever to put together, and I really wanted to make sure that I have only the best tips to help you guys out with this game. So if you could do me a really big favor and just drop a like on the video, that's all I ask you to do. It'd be greatly appreciated. We will aim for 4,000 likes on this one. I know you guys could absolutely crush it. Also, make sure that you are subscribed if you are brand new to the channel for daily PUBG content, live streams, and videos also. Our next subscriber goal on this channel is 150,000, and we're getting there closer every single day, so every sub counts, and it really helps out a ton. Also, if anybody has not already joined my Discord server, I highly encourage you to do so. If you want to become part of a PUBG community, hang out with people there, make some friends, or even talk to me sometimes, I'll be in my own Discord, so go and check that out in the description. And also, while you're down there, make sure you follow me on Twitter, as we're getting really close to 10,000 Twitter followers, and I would greatly appreciate that so much. But anyways, guys, all that stuff being said, getting that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into these 5 pro PUBG tips that are guaranteed to help out your gameplay. Now, coming at the number 5 spot for these tips today is going to be a way that you can outmaneuver, outrun, and just outplay your opponents in PUBG. So it's going to be a really quick way for you to maneuver the map, and this is going to be the PUBG bunny hop. Now, the thing about this movement mechanic is that it requires a lot of skill, a lot of repetition, and some impeccable timing for you to really nail this down. So I recommend that you practice this for a couple of games until you feel like you really get the groove of it. It's almost muscle memory at a certain point to where you're just going to know when to hit this button. But to perform the bunny hop, I'm going to go ahead and show you some third-person gameplay and break it all down. So to perform this maneuver, you're going to need to have a running start and then really good timing with your jumping. So it's essentially what you're going to do is sprint just for a little bit, and then you're going to jump just like how you would normally. And as soon as you hear the audio like cue of your feet hitting the ground, you're going to want to jump again to launch you forward and keep that same momentum that you had sprinting, and basically go even faster than you otherwise would. Now, of course, it goes without saying that this maneuver can be performed in first person. Now, the reason why I'm showing you third person gameplay is that it helps to give you a little bit of a better perspective on how the jump is supposed to look when you're doing it right. If you find yourself jumping, you hit the ground and then you slow down and jump again, you might be a little late on your jump. The timing that is required to pull this off is actually pretty crazy. So if you have access to custom games, or maybe if you want to jump in to a couple solos, go to a place nobody else is at and practice this jump for a little bit until you really get the muscle memory and timing down. That's what I'm going to advise you do for this. And if you get really good at it, you can chain these jumps together over different environments and elevations to get over buildings, or even through windows that you would otherwise have to vault over. It's been really useful for me in traveling the map fast, and people don't expect you to get to a certain position as quickly as you did, and you can throw people off incredibly. So I recommend you try this bunny hop, get good with it, and let me know how it works out for you. So taking our number 4 spot for the tips on this list is yet another movement mechanic that you can take advantage of, and this is going to almost completely eliminate the need to vault, at least out of most windows anyways. It's kind of the same concept as the one we just talked about, but it has a completely different application. If you've been playing PUBG for a while, you might remember something called the crouch jump. This was something that players used before vaulting was even implemented into the game, before that animation was even real. We would do something where you hit your crouch key and your jump key basically at the exact same time to get your extra elevation on this jump, and this is how you get out of windows that you otherwise couldn't have. And then they encouraged us to use this until they brought in the actual vaulting mechanic itself, right? And that was great and all. Now we have vaulting, but it's slower to get out of windows using that mechanic, and also you can't have your gun up or anything. You're a pretty big target if somebody sees you while you're in that animation, but there is now a way around that to escape windows without vaulting. Now for this maneuver, it will work on any window that doesn't have bars and that you can also vault out of. So if I'm taking this window on the top floor, for instance, here, and as you can see, I just jumped out. That's what it's supposed to look like. You want to jump getting a running start, and as soon as your feet touch the bottom of that window frame and you can see that your animation stop, you want to crouch so that your character will fit through the window itself and break the glass. You're not actually jumping out of the window, you're jumping onto the window and crouching through it, but it looks so seamless and quick. You're pretty much just flying through the window. Now, some of the models of the window frames are easier to do than others, but if you can understand each window window, you'll probably be able to have the timing for all of them. And I cannot stress enough how useful this tip is, because when you're trying to escape a gunfight or somebody's below you and you want to get down quick, vaulting will put your gun down for around 4 seconds, and that can be extremely crucial, especially if the enemy can see you and knows exactly where you are. That can mean instant death. So if you're able to kind of perform this maneuver and keep your gun up the entire time, you'll have a much better chance of surviving that gunfight. Now, taking our number 3 spot is probably one of the most important tips that I could ever give you, something that you should recommend every game. It doesn't matter if you're a pro player or if you just picked up the game today, everybody should be doing this. It's a great way to warm up and even learn new sensitivities. Now, the thing that I'm about to tell you is something called the ogre twitch. Now, if you have never heard of this in your life, then don't feel bad, because this is a really old exercise that kind of started when competitive gaming was just a baby. Now, this is named after a pro Halo player, and he would do this to warm up using his sensitivity and to kind of calibrate his aim with his brain, like within his game. So what you want to do this exercise is either take your mouse or your right analog stick, whatever you're playing on, and kind of shake it around, do big circles and both small circles to calibrate your own sensitivity with your brain. And when you're just, hopping on, warming up, and you're fresh on for the day, I recommend doing this for about 5 minutes. I know that might sound crazy and it looks silly doing it, but I promise that this will make your aim noticeably better. Like, you will markedly notice a difference in the way you track enemies, the way you spot them and lock onto them, and it's overall going to make your gaming experience more uniform. So just the proper way to do this exercise is make big and small circles and just shake your screen around a little bit, getting used to your own sensitivity, and do it for around, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes until you feel like you're comfortable. And you can test this by kind of doing a complete 180, just back and forth 180s over one swipe or just one kind of push on your analog. And once you're doing that properly, then you're ready to go and you're all warmed up. Now, coming in at our number 2 spot is the proper way to scan your screen when looking for enemies on PUBG. Now, this can be one of the most tricky things about this game. I have a lot of people telling me that they feel like they're pretty confident in their gun skill. They know how to loot. They know really where to position themselves. But when it comes down to it, with somebody's far away or just whatever have you, they're not extremely good at spotting their enemies quickly enough before they end up dying, or if it's just too late. Now, there can be a lot of reasons for this. Some of it can be your in-game settings. If they're too high and the details are too much, it's really hard to pick out enemies amongst grass and kind of the other pieces of the environment. So if you turn on your graphics, that might help a little bit. But also, you might have a bad monitor. It may be too small, or the resolution might not be as good. But aside from these things, something that you can actually do as your own personal skill is the proper way to move your eyes scanning your targets. Now, generally speaking, you'll want at least a 27-inch monitor and to not be too far away from it. But aside from that, for the most part, you're going to want to be focused on the center of your screen at any given point. But when you're scanning a wider area, then this is where you're going to need to change it a little bit. And if you're focused on the center of your screen too much, you might miss a lot of your peripheral vision and what's going on around you. But the proper way to take care of this is to do a quick little kind of fast scan from left to right, and then once you get to the end of the right side of your screen, go back to center, slowly go to the left side, and then repeat again. A lot of people make the mistake of flipping left to right really too quickly, and if you do that movement, you're going to disorient your brain a little bit. You might think that there's some real movement that's actually not. So if you kind of take it slowly, go left to right, back to center, left to right, and you do it a little bit more methodically instead of just swiping back and forth looking for enemies, then you'll probably find that you're a lot more focused and you're able to see, and you're way more aware about what's going on around you as well. If you think you may be struggling with this, honestly, it might not be a bad idea to get the device called an eye tracker that will show you where your eye is looking on your screen while you're playing the game, and record yourself. And when you watch it back, if you're doing that pattern where you're going left to right way too fast and swiping, and you're disorienting yourself, then you might notice that you're not spotting enemies that you should. But if you practice doing the exercise of the left to right slow, back to center, left to right, then you'll see that you'll markedly notice how you're able to find enemies in the field. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, congratulations. We're about to unveil our number 1 spot. But before we get into that, I want to give you guys a really quick, just a little tip about PUBG that is not the biggest thing in the world, but it's a useful piece of information and knowledge just to have. Now, level 2 helmets are pretty much the best ones in the game commonly right now. There are level 3 helmets, but they're only in drops, and there's 2 variations of level 2 helmets. There's a sandy one, and then there's a darker one. Now, I'm going to tell you, always take the darker one if it's fresh, if you have the choice between the two, because the outline of this up against darker backgrounds is much harder to see, meaning that the enemy will have less of a chance to hit a headshot on you as compared to the sand colored one, which is a well well-defined round shape. So it's just a little tip, but taking the darker helmet will always be the better option for you. But now, ladies and gentlemen, taking the #1 pro tip for PUBG on this video is going to be claw grip for both controllers and mouses. If you use this tip, this will be the one that no doubt makes the biggest difference in your gameplay. Now, the way to claw a mouse, I'm going to show you first. This is the way that I play with mine. This is what it's supposed to look like. Normally, there's a palm grip, there's a fingertip, and then what I'm right now is claw grip. Now, my index finger and my middle finger are more pointed up, and they're kind of in a better position to react quickly. And also, you're going to want to, in this grip, move your scroll wheel with your middle finger while keeping your index finger on your left click. So only downside is that if you're not used to it, it can hurt after a little while, especially if you're gaming for a few hours. So it's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but I recommend if you're gonna play seriously, then try to at least claw your mouse and see how you feel about that. That has made a noticeable difference in my gameplay ever since I've started playing PC games, and I'm gonna recommend that tip to you guys as well. Now, if you want to claw a controller, this is something I've been doing for years, and it's just as easy. So normally a PlayStation or an Xbox controller is held like so, right? You have your thumbs obviously on the sticks, your 2 index fingers on the triggers, and then to hit your face buttons, you're going to have to use your right thumb. But in claw grip, what I'm showing you right now, you can keep both of your thumbs on the sticks at all times. Your middle finger on your right side is going to be for your trigger, and then your index finger is going to be clawed over the face button so that you can use these in conjunction with each other. You never have to take your thumbs off the sticks for any reason whatsoever, and you can hit the buttons faster than you would with your thumb as well. I'm not going to lie to you guys though, I've been playing claw for years, so it really doesn't affect me anymore. It's just kind of natural. But starting out, if you haven't done this before, it may be really uncomfortable, and it might actually hurt more so on a controller than a mouse, but it may kind of stretch your tendons around where your knuckles are. So if you're sensitive about that kind of stuff, then I would advise you to be careful about claw grip. But otherwise, if you don't care, if you want to learn it, it's going to take a couple weeks and your shot might be trash for a while, but this will make the biggest difference in your gameplay. I promise you that much if you're able to master this and get it down. But other than that, guys, those are the 5 most useful tips that I could give you to improve your gameplay in PUBG. Now, I really hope you guys did learn something from this video, because I wanted to make sure I put together something that people didn't really know a lot about, and maybe it was something that you might have heard, but you didn't know the details on, and I hope I was able to shed some light on that for you. So if you guys end up enjoying the video, I would really appreciate a like rating, and let me know in the comment section how many of these tips you knew beforehand, and let me know how many you're going to start using now that you've watched this video. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're brand new to the channel, and I'll see you all on the next live stream or the next video. Thank you guys for coming out, and peace out.